Just
fellas.
walked
What's
into
up,
the
man?
den here.
Welcome to the shit show, Alex.
Here we are.
Yeah. No. To Mike's point, for all those that are just joining us for the pre-show here, Mike was just talking about the idea that a lot of the normies are waking up to the idea that there's some pretty evil forces at some fairly high levels out there,
like structurally evil.
Yes, absolutely. Like this is a concerted and very intentional type of evil, right? Like not playing around. The fact that the normies are waking up to this, I don't think it's an accident. You know, when you're looking at what's going on right now with the kind of what they talk about in economics and how empires fall is like it's slowly and then suddenly, right? And because you have this slowly and now suddenly uptick where we have really gone in this parabolic type of direction with debt and everything else, and everything is starting to come unglued because of these things, more and more information is coming out. And, you know, the amount of communication, the network effect alone is going through the roof. I mean, you guys had a great show last week, you know, Alex was here anyway. And, you know, they were talking about a lot of this where, you know, as this network effect takes place and we're all finding each other. And it's funny to see Max Borders, and then we're working on a article with the guys, well, one of the girls over at Forbes magazine on Bitcoin and psychedelics, and to see them meet members of the Bitcoin, you know, family in Madeira over there this past week, to see all of these confluences starting to really find each other and network and build. The idea that, you know, normies aren't going to hear these conversations and then start to migrate in and understand this and start going down the same rabbit holes at that exponential, you know, time frame where all this information is just getting pushed out. And I've seen it even on Twitter where there are so many things coming out that just, you know, good, bad, and different, you know, just a lot of spiritual vomit and everything else. It's incredible to witness, but I think this is it. I think we're in that time where people are starting to wake up exponentially, and the powers that be would love to do anything but recognize that.
Yeah, and two things I want to say on that is like the volume of like information that's getting put out there, like very much fog of war situations that everybody's like the only thing that you can really do to like try and triangulate what's likely to be true and what isn't is where like the amount of overlap between other different like theories or trains of thought that kind of just touch what's being said, right? Because like you can make the most outlandish thing sound desirable to buy into because you want to believe it, and that may not be the actual like reality. But then the other thing too is that there's been a lot of talk of like probably because of Bitcoin's bullishness lately is the whole gradually then suddenly kind of what would you call it, catchphrase. And it's important to keep in mind when we're talking about either the gradually then suddenly rise of Bitcoin or the gradually then suddenly fall of an empire, is that the suddenly, like we like to think of it in the, like, because we're human, we like to think of it in like the form of minutes or hours or days. But when you're looking at suddenly on a historical time frame, that's a matter of years or even decades. So like we could very well and likely have been living through like the suddenly portion of the American empire going into some next phase. And it doesn't feel like it because we're experiencing it on a day-to-day and minute-by-minute basis.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's a really good point. And I bet if you...
Did you guys just lose Gabe?
Yeah.
Gabe's in the Matrix.
Kidding me? Oh, man.
There we go. Now we can hear you.
Am I back? All right. Let me just get nice and close to this.
What we heard was, I bet if you, and then that was it.
So I bet if you went back in history and you talked to some of the people that were involved in some of these other huge cultural shifts in human civilization, that it would be the same for them too. And it may live their entire lifetime. Of course, back then, you know, you're looking at maybe 50, 60 years for a lot of people. But even then, they probably didn't even know that they were amongst these things, because a lot of it comes with just taking that historical perspective and looking back on it and then saying, wow, and then we kind of label it these different little epochs of time that we call them now. But for them back then, it's just people that are living their lives. I mean, even people back during the American Revolution era, I would venture to guess that most of your normal citizens of the United States, of the emerging United States at the time, they were just people who were going through their day to day, and okay, look, all right, we need to go over here. We got to fight these lobster backs, and we got to do this stuff. And I heard they have this declaration thing going on, but they were also still, okay, got to feed the chickens, got to go out and do this, got to slaughter the hog, and got to just continue living life. But we look back on them and say, wow, they were a part of this, this huge shift in the direction of the world. It's interesting, Mike, because I'm betting that a lot of it, even those that have the perspectives that many of us may have, probably don't recognize the true gravity of what is taking place at this point in time. And we may never actually realize it, but people in 100 and 200 years are going to look back and say, wow, it must have been amazing to live during those times. But even as amazing as we see it, we probably still can't even appreciate the true relevance of it, just because of the perspective that we see it from.
Damn it, Randy.
To your point, if you wanted to model this, we can get into Dune. This is a look at the 1 hour picture, and to relate this to what you were just saying, Gabe and Mike, if you're this close, if you're right up on the day to day, this is literally looking at something day to day. It doesn't look like it's doing much, but as you can look out over history, a little bit, and by a little bit, it starts to see more significant change in such a small time period. This is just looking at Bitcoin over the past, 7 days here, 1 month here. I mean, you start to
that 1 month is pretty wild.
Incredible amount of change that's taking place just in Bitcoin alone, which is nothing small. I mean, it's literally it's taking over money. It's money taking over money in the world that has no CEO or any of those things. But to you guys' points, so on the daily basis, yeah, it looks like you're kind of just bumping along, stumbling, and there's some gives, there's some takes and things like that. But then when you start to zoom out and you realize where you're at in history, and the fact that those little bumps and ups and downs and things of your daily is really part of a much bigger picture that's going on. This couldn't be a better example of why and how everything is happening all at the same time, exponentially and networked.
On a serious note here, why are you laughing, Mike?
As if that wasn't serious.
I was already being serious, man. What are you talking about? Sorry, go ahead.
On a serious note here, Yellow is in the audience.
Yes, he is.
Oh boy, here we go.
He's got a big announcement. The meat factory is canceled tonight. He has to poop.
I'm super curious, Yellow, if you're still listening to this, do you do live broadcasts? Is there any chance we could get Yellow on the show at some point? Yellow?
I mean, we can send him a link. He just needs to let us know where to send it to.
I'm pretty sure I might be diming Yellow out a little bit because he's probably going to tell you no so he can poop. But I'm pretty sure I saw him go on with Ben on BTC Sessions, and I think he might have had like a little cartoon where like his bottom, like his mouth would move like while he was talking. I might be wrong though, so I think he can do it. This is a matter of whether he
you
wants
hear
to.
that, Randy? We need to reach out to Yellow, get in touch with his people, talk to his producer or his agent, whoever we need to talk to, and see if we can get Yellow on this show.
Yeah, whoever his handler is.
He'd be a good pre-show warm-up anyway.
He had a good skit with Ben for when he went on BTC Sessions. If you guys didn't see it, that was pretty good.
He's good. He's good 15-minute opener or 15-minute closer for sure. Take the serious conversation and just flip it all on its head.
He'd be good for closing for sure.
Look at that, man. We got 66 people in the audience out there already, and it's not even game time yet. We got 4 minutes.
Dang.
Yeah.
What do we do to deserve that?
You gotta show up consistently. That's I guess that's the name of the game here.
Right on. Must be catching on.
I think, I'd like to know a little bit, Gabe, how your trip went. And we can get into it in the show too, but any first thoughts, any teasers?
Yeah. So I just want to say that it was on an island for those who aren't aware, the island of Madeira, and it's off. Don't laugh, Alex. And it's off the coast of Morocco. So it's actually like closer to Western Africa, Northwest Africa, but Portugal owns it. So anyway, we're on this island, and there's this speakers reception event. And I happened to fandangle my way into getting a bracelet to that says I was a speaker on there. And so I'm hanging out and I'm looking around here. And I said to this person next to me who, before that moment in time only existed on Twitter. And so I'm speaking to this person, this famous Twitter personality, and I'm looking around and I said, wouldn't it be really weird if a mysterious comet just struck this island and obliterated the entire thing right now? What would happen to the Twitter universe of Bitcoin? I mean, think about it, because I'm looking around and it's got like there's this guy, some bearded British dude with a podcast, and there's this other guy that he says things like there is no second best, and there's this Lawrence guy over here, and this Preston guy, and all these people. And it was like if you go to the Wax Museum and like all the famous people are there, except it was all the Bitcoin Twitter people, and they were all walking around and they were alive talking to each other. It was pretty cool. It was a neat, surreal moment. And then finally the mean Portugal women, they came and they said, look, you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. They literally threw everybody out of the place. But and they were not messing around. But yeah, that was my first observation. That was the first night. They got everybody together in one spot, and I said, man, if for somebody who doesn't like the the Bitcoin movement, this would be a high value target to just throw a mysterious asteroid at right now. Fortunately, as you can see, it did not occur. So that was a grateful moment for me. But
it's also it would have been
asteroid.
It would be a great donation to the Bitcoin community too.
Directed energy weapon.
You never know, man.
500-pound JDAM.
Dude,
right?
That's why there are 76 people in the audience already watching live for Bitcoin veterans. The one Bitcoin veteran on the island of Madeira is sitting there adversarially thinking in the moment and trying to maybe forward think on how to keep people safe. I think that is a excellent place to kick this thing off. Let's go.
Let's rock.
$83. Look at that. Bitcoin veterans. We're not even at full force. We are missing Jordan Gambrell tonight. We got Mike Hobart, Gabe, Alex Stanzik here. We are Bitcoiners. We are veterans. It doesn't mean you have to be a Bitcoin veteran to be here. And we welcome everybody who is finding this show, finding some truth, some passion in it. Our mission here is to set you on the mission of Bitcoin. It is to restore that love that you have for your fellow man, take you out of the nihilistic place that you might be in, and really invigorate you to something bigger than yourself. This is Bitcoin Veterans. We do this every Thursday night at 7 p.m. Most of us do anyway. We usually have some pretty amazing guests, but this week we are going to do an Ask Me Anything. We're going to catch up with Gabe on his trip to Madeira and what he did outside of thinking adversarially and enjoying the moment. We're going to have some pretty big announcements, I think, from Alex here straight away. But I just want to say thanks. I watched the show last week, guys, and basically, I guess Alex is the only one that was here that is returning this week. But golly, to see you guys, rap with Max Borders and to see that come together, the nerds and the knuckle draggers, I think, as you put it at one clip, that was what a really great show to see the confluences really starting to take shape, and the network, and the fact that and bravo to everybody who is in the Bitcoin veterans universe out here. What you're doing, I mean, just a testament. There are people who are thinking about these things, but you guys are doing things, and this decentralized revolution that's taking place within even Bitcoin veterans in Bitcoin. Boy, I'll tell you what, it's fun to watch. It's an amazing thing to behold, and thanks for everything everybody's doing out there, because it's a lot. It's a ton of heavy lifting. There's a lot of hours. There's a lot of money. There's a lot of, I think some blood, sweat, and tears that are going into this kind of stuff. Late nights, early mornings. So kudos to everybody that's pitching in. But Alex, you got some big announcements for us, man.
Yeah. Before I jump into that, let me just say, as far as last week's show with Max Borders, Max, that was awesome. It was a great conversation. You're welcome back anytime. And yeah, it was like a meeting in the minds, man. It was like the wizards and the knuckle draggers, so to speak. But these guys are on the same mission as us. They're building decentralized communities of people who value getting back to stuff that matters, honor and camaraderie, and like holding each other accountable to a higher standard, which is a thing that has largely been lost in the West, unfortunately. And it's time to revitalize and rejuvenate and have a new renaissance of all of that. So that's what Bitcoin Veterans is all about. A couple of quick announcements that we've got going on. Very excited. So far this year, every major conference has embraced Bitcoin veterans in a big way. They've shown up and they're supporting veterans in a way that is mind-blowing. We're getting these massive discounts to get tickets for veterans and veterans spouses and veterans families if you're veteran adjacent to all the different events. And the way they're showing up is pretty amazing. So first of all, we've got BitBlock Boom. That's coming up here next month. It's going to be in Dallas, Texas. Let me tell you something about BitBlock Boom. I've been to, I think, 2 of these now. And the thing about BitBlock Boom is that it is a smaller conference, but like all of the like core Bitcoiners go to this thing. So if you want a smaller conference, but you are around a ton of signal, BitBlock Boom is the place to be. So we have a massive discount on tickets to BitBlock Boom. If you're interested in that, talk to us in the various different Bitcoin veteran chat groups. If you're not in the Bitcoin veteran chat groups, my opinion, you might be doing it
get
wrong.
in there.
Contact us, get in touch with us. We're happy to add you and get you hooked up with that. Also, first week of April, we have the halving party is occurring down in El Salvador. Those you might have heard of this thing called the halving, right? This is the thing in Bitcoin that occurs every 4 years where the amount of Bitcoin that is produced every 10 minutes and added to the available supply gets cut in half. So right now, the miners are currently adding 900 Bitcoin a day to the total amount of Bitcoin that's available. Now, we've already mined a crap ton of it. Here, let me grab the stats really quick. So, by the way, this is on Time Chain Calendar. Check that out, timechaincalendar.com. 93.56% of all the Bitcoin that will ever be mined in the history of the human race has already been mined. 19.65 million out of 21 million. Which means that the other 8 billion people on the planet who don't own any Bitcoin yet are going to be contending for the last 1.4 whatever million Bitcoin it is. It's not that much. The halving's coming up in April. That means the 900 Bitcoin that is being mined today will drop to 450 a day. By the way, the ETFs are buying something like 10,000 Bitcoin a day. So if you want to go to El Salvador and you want to join this massive party that occurs only every 4 years, connect with us. We have a great discount to go to El Salvador for the halving party. Next up, we've got Bitcoin 2024, Nashville. That's going to be an awesome time. Guys, the people who run that event have been incredibly gracious to Bitcoin veterans. They're giving us a 3,000 square foot breakout room. And we're going to have the Bitcoin Veterans Citadel. and it's going to be freaking awesome. There's going to be a stage. We're going to be running regular breakout sessions where we're going to have guys talking about ham radio, security, OPSEC. We're going to have Bill Stebbins in there doing his contingency work groups, all the things, mesh networks. Start9 Labs is going to come in there and they're going to do a workshop with us. A little bird told me today that Simply Bitcoin might be setting up shop in our Citadel to broadcast live the entire time that we're there, and all these other really cool things that are coming up. We have great discounts for that. If you're interested. Oh, by the way, we're also doing on the first day, we're doing a community outreach. Gabe's running that thing. We're probably going to be very involved with Me Premier Bitcoin for that. Also, we're doing a range day on the 25th. If you want to get out there with a bunch of guys who have put a handful of rounds downrange and they know how to do that with speed and accuracy, and you want to learn how to do that, doesn't matter what your skill level is. You can be a beginner, intermediate, advanced. We're going to be breaking it up into groups. If you're a beginner, brand new, never touched a firearm in your life before, we're going to put you together with some of the most experienced guys that I'm aware of. We're going to take really good care of you. Safety will be absolute paramount, but we're going to teach you how to get familiar with these things called firearms and get comfortable with it. The intermediate group, we're going to be honing your skills, working on all the fundamentals, like all the things you need to know that matter a lot to get really good at shooting guns. We're going to be doing that with the intermediate group. With the advanced group, former Navy SEAL sniper Randy Kelly's going to be running the advanced group. And that's going to be a lot of fun. If you know how to run a firearm, you're going to be put in the advanced group. You're going to get to do a lot of really cool stuff. And then we have lots of stuff planned for the rest of the days there. If you're interested in that, again, connect with us. An amazing discount. And then finally, just today, I got word that at Pacific Bitcoin, we're going to be given the biggest discount they have ever given to anyone. The discount is so big, I'm not allowed to say what it is.
Wow.
It's amazing. Even for VIP tickets, whatever it is you want to do, huge discount for veterans, families. If you're interested in going to Pacific Bitcoin and you're a veteran adjacent, family, anyone, connect with us, get into our chat groups. We will hook you up. Am I forgetting anything, guys?
That's awesome.
I might be a little partial to Pacific Bitcoin. I'm not partial to California by any stretch of the imagination. God knows I love Nashville way more, and maybe even Dallas. But Pacific Bitcoin, if you guys have not been to Pacific Bitcoin is a combination of BitBlock Boom, where you've got pure signal, and the party and extravaganza, the high production that is the Bitcoin conference. So you when you meld those things together, you get something fairly magical. It's electric. It is a beautiful place. It's a great place to come hang out, reconnect with not only people around, but the environment as well. I think that's boy, if you're planning one this year, I would definitely start thinking about PB.
If it isn't obvious already, we only work with the best. Clearly.
I'm going to add one quick thing about Nashville too. For all of you guys out there that are doing this 100 push-ups a day to 100K thing, we're going to get together in a mass formation in Nashville. We're going to put a drone overhead and record this thing. We're basically going to down 1, down 2 as a gigantic group together until we can't push anymore. And whoever's the last man pushing, we're going to have some kind of special prize. Don't know what that is yet. But
we're going to need really good audio to capture that, man. That's going to sound like a bunch of Spartans getting down. That's going to be awesome.
Yep. And we're going to need somebody mic'd up to get the drill sergeant count.
You don't have to be a veteran to participate. Any of you maniacs who are Bitcoiners out there doing the 100 push-ups a day to 100K, you are welcome to join us out there. It's going to be a great time.
We got any predictions on how many is going to be the winning number?
Man, I don't know, man.
I you know what? I will be, with the pace that I'm expecting us to go at, I will be very impressed if we get up to like 50, 60 range.
It's
not going to be like a PT test.
Here's the thing. It's going to be at the pace that whoever's calling down.
Yes.
Yeah. So
Right.
and here's the other thing is formation too, right? If we're gonna keep each other honest, and we're gonna keep this whole Bitcoin veterans honest, where it's not a big circle where you're sitting there going like, I think he's not going all the way down over there. No, it's maybe you across from a partner, and when your partner says you're done, you're done. Like you're out, man.
And what I'd like to do is have a couple of proctors walking around, and anybody who doesn't go all the way down or all the way up, tap on the shoulder, on the shoulder, you're done.
If we get to 50 on a slow cadence, I will be impressed.
Yeah, me too. So here's the thing you got to keep in mind. You guys seen that video with Robert Breedlove, right? Where he's training right now to be able to do 100 push-ups in a row.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right. Here's the thing. Like, I watched all the videos in that thread, right? By civilian standards, I'm sitting there looking at it. I'm thinking about my drill instructor in my ear yelling at me, 0, 0, 0. What the hell is that? 0. And
your drill instructor sounded a lot meaner than mine. Mine laughed because he knew you weren't achieving the goal. 0, 0, 0 again. Keep pumping them out. 0.
Yeah, I think that a lot of listen. I don't want to be discouraging to anyone. It's great that you're doing physical things. That keep it up, really keep it up. But yeah, I'm seeing a lot of really bad push-ups out there, and they're like, yeah, I'm doing 100 push-ups to 100K, and when we hit 100K, they're going to be like, yeah, I did 100 a day. I'm be like, no, you might have done like 4 over 7 months.
Okay, but okay, look, in their defense, at least they're fucking doing it, and they've never had anybody critique their push-ups before.
No,
that's right.
Right,
and that's precisely what we're doing right now.
Yeah, so like, I think that's freaking awesome. So all you guys who are out there doing that, kudos to you. Nothing but thumbs up. It's going to be awesome. So come on out. We'll all do it together. It'd be freaking fantastic.
Yeah, and I mean, seriously, there is an actual form that push-ups should be conducted in, and I mean, Bitcoin veterans are here for you. So if you would like a demonstration, let us know. Shoot me a DM. I can do 1 or 2. I can do a couple. So I mean, we can get live on the FaceTime or whatever you got, and we can do push-ups together. It's okay. Or come on down to Nashville and jump into formation, half right face, and we'll do some together.
And in true military fashion, wherever you tap out is where we're going to get the number out of the branding pit, and that's where you'll get branded right there on the chest, so you can have a good reminder of that for the rest of your life.
Oh, a couple other things. So quick shout out to Obi, aka Coinfather. Flags, Bitcoin veterans flags, patches. Some of you guys have seen these on Twitter now. Like, we've got these guys rocking patches. We're gonna have all those Bitcoin at BitBlock Boom. We're gonna have some at Nashville. We'll have some. A lot of people are asking for these things, so we're probably gonna end up ordering a crap ton more. So if you're interested in those, look up Coinfather.
Yep.
On Twitter.
Also, meaning expect us to run out from time to time. So get yours as soon as you can.
Okay. What's next?
Well,
great announcements, man.
So you guys keep going. 2 seconds. I was going to share.
I want to continue the debrief from Gabe, because I was going to add, with Alex's input of the potential use of directed energy weapons at a Bitcoin meetup. Guys, I think that means that we should probably start standardizing as a protocol to wear as much blue as possible. I'm just saying.
I'm just going to paint.
Why are you guys laughing?
We'll have like blue ball caps and like blue ponchos for everybody.
The nice thing is that it's complimentary to orange, so we can wear orange too. That's still look good.
I love that we're already thinking about fashion. How's this going to go with the Bitcoin orange? That's what we all need.
There'll be a bunch of Bitcoin bees burned into the earth where the blue wasn't, is what's going to happen.
Oh, Lord. I'm ready for it, man. Let's go.
Okay, Gabe, you can continue debriefing on your trip to Madeira.
Oh, well, I mean, what do you guys want to know? I mean, there's a lot to tell. I was out there for a week. I mean, it was crazy. So, yeah. Where do I start? So, yeah, look at that badge. That looks
that is
beautiful.
beautiful patch. I mean, really, this is going to be one of those I think everybody's going to want. So we're probably going to need to make some.
It's like the one time I actually like wish I was in uniform so I could like sport it for a little bit and get yelled at, maybe smoked for wearing it.
15 something.
Yeah.
So
Just
Gabe,
paper.
show up and you've done your first analysis saying, hey, you know, these are some pretty vulnerable targets with some of, you know, maybe some of the future most powerful people in the world around, and definitely, you know, some of the greats on Twitter, at least, you know, great content providers and all that kind of stuff. After that, and they kicked you guys out. How'd the rest of the week go?
It went really well. I mean, I'm going to back up a little bit, actually, because before that event even happened, I just want to say that the trip to Madeira is a lengthy one. So it took me about 17 hours total to get from Southeast United States over to Lisbon, Portugal, and then down to Madeira, which is an island off the coast of Morocco. That Portugal it's part of Portugal. So I get there and get settled in, and it's afternoon of it's Monday afternoon, and I was sharing an apartment with John Dennehy from Me Premier Bitcoin, and I get there and I'm getting settled, drinking some water, you know, getting my bearings, figuring out what life is about, and he says he's like, hey, so yeah, me and a couple of the guys from Me Premier Bitcoin, you know, we're thinking about, you know, maybe going for a hike while we're here. And so, yeah. So when do you want to go? He's like, we're probably going to go in about 10 minutes. It's like, he's like, you don't want to get, and I was like, yeah, I do, man. Hell yeah. Of course I want to go. So, you know, splashed some water on my face and we went. And I have to tell you, the scenery out there on this island is unbelievable. It's like, if you've ever seen the Prudential commercial with the big rock out in the middle of the ocean, that's what it looks like. It's just fantastic. I'll put some pictures out there in the Twitter sphere. But so we go out on this hike. It's amazing. You're taking pictures. There's another world. You see all these other like Twitter avatars in real life of Bitcoiners just walking around in the mountains, just doing their thing, getting, you know, ocean spray and tropical birds flying everywhere. Got done with the hike, went back, and then that's when the speakers event was. And so we went to that, and we were talking a little bit in the pre-show about it was as though like the entire Bitcoin Twitterverse had just come alive, and it was all right there in that one spot. It was pretty cool. So I had some great conversations, met some people that I'm probably going to leave some of them unnamed because, you know, I don't want to be a show off and just be dropping names of everybody. So I'm just going to kind of leave that out. But it was really cool. So yeah, so then we go into the event. And it was the first day there was an unconference that was hosted by Me Premier Bitcoin. And so the whole point of this conference is it's all about Bitcoin education. We went out there, had some great people come out and speak. Ella Huff was there. BTC Sessions came out and had a panel with Jeff Booth and Preston Pish, which was cool. I mean, just some of the smartest people, some of the most brilliant minds coming out there. And these events are designed to only be about no more than 150 people. And so they really cap off registration at a certain point and give everyone a chance to connect. So we're hanging out with, you know, Jeff Booth and Preston Pish and just all these just brilliant people. And everyone who's there is there because they're interested in promoting Bitcoin through education. So the conversations that we had were fantastic. I've talked about it a little bit before on the podcast, but just to update, Operation Bitcoin, which is our veteran education nonprofit, is a light node with Me Premier Bitcoin, and so I was there in that capacity from the Operation Bitcoin perspective, specifically talking about veteran education, and it was the coolest event. It was just intimate. Everybody's hanging out, drinking coffee, eating snacks, talking about Bitcoin, talking about education. Really, really cool. And then they have breakout sessions where everybody gets to talk. And people at the beginning of the event, they propose topics that they would like to discuss that have things to do with Bitcoin education. And then everybody votes, and we break up and have these different conversations. Totally awesome. And then after that, you kick off the actual Bitcoin Atlantis event, the following day. Now, I think a lot of you have probably been watching on YouTube. If you haven't, get on there. Just put Bitcoin Atlantis in the session. They have days 1, 2, and 3 on there. Watch the entire thing. It's amazing. They kick the whole thing off with Jack Mallers. Even if you've been studying Bitcoin for a while, watch this video and it's going to blow your mind. He got out there and was just dropping knowledge in a way that only he could do it. It was the coolest dang thing. I mean, I was up there and I was thinking, I'm going to have to watch this on YouTube when I get back home, and I have twice, but it was necessary. It was just the coolest dang thing. And when he started talking about how, I'm just going to give you a little teaser on that. When he started talking about how Satoshi essentially invented time in the digital realm, it was really trippy. And that we're not, how we mine gold out of the ground, but because it's stuck in the ground, but we actually have to mine Bitcoin and extract it from time because it's stuck in time and we can't get it out until we travel through the time chain a certain distance at a time, which is pretty fantastic. Anyway, did I blow anyone's mind with that? Probably not. I don't have his kind of delivery, and I don't have any cool hoodies to wear, so I can't rock it like Jack or how Ballers does it, as they call him. So anyway, that part was cool. I'm talking a lot, man. I want to answer questions. So what can I tell you about it?
I heard that you were rubbing elbows with a lot of very well-known and highly educational people.
Man, there were a couple people that I really wanted to have a conversation with out there, and I did, and it was freaking awesome. There's a well-known Bitcoiner who happens to be a veteran, and we've talked about it before in our circles, and I approached him and I asked him about his time in the military because I wanted to hear it from him. And I think that a lot of people may not be aware that this individual is a military veteran, but he actually he was in the Air Force in training to be a pilot, and they found that he had a heart condition, and then so he had to be removed. He had to stop his training. He was exited from the Air Force, and then went on and continued his education at MIT and started a company called MicroStrategy. And so I approached him and I stood there, and there was kind of an entourage and everything. And I took my, I had to wait for my slot. And so I found my avenue of approach, and I went in and I said, "Hey, Michael, I have a quick question for you." And he was like, "Okay." And he's an interesting guy to talk to in person because he's kind of intense, but he always looks like he's getting ready to crack a joke. So I was like, how do I approach him?
That's so true.
And I said, it's my understanding that you're a military veteran. Is that correct? And he's like, well, yeah, I am actually. I joined the Air Force and I wanted to be a pilot. And I mean, what I just told you, he said, I wanted to be a pilot. Didn't quite work out that way. So I ended up doing this. I was like, okay, well, that's awesome. And I said, well, I just want to thank you for your service. And I told him that there is a group of individuals, and we are Bitcoin veterans, and that he is invited to be a part of this community, and that we consider him one of us. So that was pretty awesome. And he said, well, here's what I want you to do. I want you to shoot me a DM and get me connected into your group. And I said, and I leaned in and I said, Michael, do you really read your DMs? And yeah.
He pays
somebody
too.
No, he said he does. And he was like, yeah. He's like, actually, I do. I read all of my DMs, and that I'm going to read it if you send it over to me. So now I'm waiting for my blue check to come through so I can send him a DM because he's not following me on Twitter. I don't know what he's missing. Yeah, he's missing out on what's going on here because he's not following my posts. But anyway, so in the meantime, I'm trying to track him down on Nostr because there's a couple of NPubs out there that are claiming to be Michael Saylor, and I don't think that they are. Anyway, that was certainly a highlight. He's an individual that I've wanted to have a conversation with for a long time, and for him to, he was very interested. He was genuinely interested, and he thought that it was very cool that we have a community of veterans who are Bitcoiners, and that we are working together to promote this mission. And I believe that there is a strong possibility that he will want to engage in this mission. So it was cool. And I've talked to some other people, and I'm not going to push too hard on this, but apparently it's something that he wanted to be a pilot very, very badly for all of his childhood, and it didn't work out, and it bothered him that dream did not come true. Fortunately for all of us in the Bitcoin community, he's doing what he's doing now. But still, I'm sure that there's a part of him, as with many people who would like to serve and then don't serve. They feel like they may have, missed out on something in their life. But but I think it's an opportunity for him also just to engage in the community. And I believe
That's fantastic.
and I believe that this community can be for him what it is for all of us in this community. Also, had an interesting conversation that really brought me to the it was kind of an emotional conversation, actually, with Jeff Booth. He is an amazing guy. And there was, I was gonna save this conversation. I was gonna tell Old Salt about this one-on-one. I haven't had a chance to, so I'm just gonna tell him now. But pulled Jeff to the side, and I let him know the impact that he has had in people's lives, that he's had in my life, and I asked him what moves him to do what he does. And first of all, I want to tell you something about Jeff Booth. If you've never had a conversation with him face to face, his eyes look different than other people's eyes. It was something. There was just something about, you can see that the amount of processing that is going on inside of that man's mind. You can actually physically see it taking place. It was quite an experience. I haven't spoken to too many people who have that look, and he's one of them. And he shared some things with me that I'm not going to go too much into, but he's an exceptional person, and he believes 100% in the things that he is bringing to us, and in the message that he shares with us. And he is among the most authentic and genuine of any of the people that I've met in my life. And he's just a good person. And it was awesome. It was cool. And later on, watching him give his presentation on the main stage at Bitcoin Atlantis, if you haven't watched that video on day 3, watch it. His moment of vulnerability that he shares with everyone in that crowd, it brought everyone to their feet. It was amazing, and I mean, it literally brought tears to my eyes. And I'm not the kind of person that's just walking around crying at fried green tomatoes and things like that. It was a powerful moment, because he brought something home that everyone there had been feeling for the entire week, that everyone there had been experiencing for the entire week. And that is the power that people have when they are joined together in a shared mission that is literally transforming the world and making it better. And every single individual there felt it and shared it with each other at that exact moment. And it elevated every single person in that crowd at the exact same moment. It was powerful. It was powerful. And it just reaffirmed this is about people. And I had this conversation with a handful of other individuals there, that it's fascinating how it's technology that is creating that doorway, I suppose, that initiative, that catalyst that is bringing out the best of humanity. And that's exactly what's happening. And we are layer 0. We are, this is about us. And I do believe that Satoshi invented, discovered Bitcoin for humanity. And that's exactly what it's bringing out. And Mike, you've written some amazing materials about this Renaissance period that we can be transitioning into, because we are becoming better at being humans, because we are becoming more of the humans that we were designed to be. And I saw it again and again, and it was showcased so many times during the week that I was there. People that were hanging out with each other that if Bitcoin didn't exist, these people wouldn't be hanging out with each other. They wouldn't be talking to each other because there would be no reason for them to do it. And there would be every reason to experience the division that the world wants us to experience.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share one quick conversation that I had before I stopped talking. When I was walking around on the mountain with John Dennehy from Make Premier Bitcoin, we were just getting to know each other a little bit more in person, and we've met a couple of times before, but we've just kind of talking about our backstories. And it's public knowledge, his backstory. He was involved in Occupy Wall Street and all kinds of movements of that nature. Some of which might be seen as like on different sides of whatever ideologies or whatever that I might be on at particular times in my life. But we discovered that at the time that I joined the military in preparation for the invasion of Iraq, I was adding myself to that war machine, and I was joining in on that effort. At the exact same time, he was heavily involved in the effort that was fighting against that. And so he and I were literally fighting on opposite sides of the same battle at that moment in time, without knowing it. Of course, this was years and years ago. And then to find ourselves years and years later fighting not against something in opposing directions towards each other, but together fighting for something that has the potential to have an impact on the world that we both wanted to see back then, but didn't have the tools to make it happen, which now we do. That was a pretty amazing experience, and it was a recurring theme throughout the entire event. As you can tell, I'm still quite moved by the whole thing. It was extremely powerful. But I'm here to tell everybody within the sound of my voice, if you have not been to an event where you are surrounded by other Bitcoiners, you need to get there. You need to get there, because Twitter is one thing. The internet is one thing. Chatting with people in groups is one, but getting together with other people who are on this mission will change your life. It will change your life. So.
Oh man, he was on such a good roll.
I was done anyway, man.
The internet said no more, Gabe.
If I hop in here, I wanted to jump in on what Gabe was talking about, because like the funny thing is, like, the more you kind of look into consciousness and do some more of this philosophizing that we're getting into, I was actually thinking similarly recently, Gabe, about the whole kind of what happens and what happened personally, like anecdotally with me, with like coming around to Bitcoin and then like seeing what it enables. It's really hard to describe, in the sense of it's a piercing the veil in a way, or a Wizard of Oz moment where you didn't know that there was a curtain there to begin with. And the kind of feeling that you get when you were, so like I personally was pretty well deep into the nihilism, like a lot of us were, with like the whole, like the way the economy is and all that, and not being able to see a way out or a way to improve. And then
what a lot of people don't know about Mike is that he was a male exotic dancer.
Yes, Bitcoin. I was, Chippendale, 100%.
Was,
but but what like the profound sense of not just like hope but empowerment that you get when it really clicks on what Bitcoin can do, is doing now, and what will happen into the future because of it. Because it's not just like what Gabe mentioned with enabling people to be better, or to be like the good that they want to be, that I believe everybody wants to be down to their core, because of just by enabling the nature of savings and protecting that savings in a way that can't be forcibly removed through the coercion of violence. But also like what happens with Bitcoin mining, and how it provides an incentive mechanism for perpetual energy generation, and what that does with economics, because everything is based off the cost of energy. Like once you really get those, like 3-4 points together, it's like there is no limit to like what is possible, because without that, you only see a decaying system that's inevitably going to implode. And once you come to that conclusion, you're like, well, like, what do I do with this? Like, I'm seriously just supposed to ride the Titanic into the ocean and then just hope that I don't end up like Jack? Like, nah, man, I'm not part of that game.
Hey, Mike.
And then so, go ahead.
Go ahead. Finish your thought. I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, so the point is that like Bitcoin is like that life raft. Like, it's been said over and over again, but it's like a life raft with a freaking lighthouse that's just spinning. It's like, hey, like, this is over here. You have to kind of like come swim to it, but it's here. And it's like, it can save you from something that you don't realize is out there. I think it's pretty profound on what it can do for society.
Yeah.
I'm done, Alex. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, it's very deep and thoughtful, as usual, from Mike Hobart. I wanted to ask you, Mike, how you feel about the title of Chief Energy Officer. I mean, we were discussing this in a...
I love it. I will,
Okay.
I will wear that with pride.
Nice.
I'll get shirts made that say Chief Energy Officer.
So at Nashville, we're going to be doing a Bitcoin veterans panel. They've asked us to do that. We're going to have all of us up there from the pod are just going to get up and talk, probably plus Mickey, maybe. I don't know. We'll figure it out. But every one of the guys who started the pod are all going to be CEOs of some type. Jordan is the Chief Entertainment Officer. Mike is the Chief Energy Officer now. Thank you for accepting, sir. Gabe is going to be the Chief Engagement Officer. I don't know what mine is going to be yet, and I don't know what Shane is going to be yet. Although I think Shane should be the Chief Eradication Officer.
Oh, nice.
That's radical.
We can discuss that. I have a quick thought. I have a quick thought, by the way, for Michael Saylor. If you're watching this, I just want you to know, man, I understand what you went through. Like, yeah, I get it. You really wanted to be an Air Force pilot. I get it, how life-changing that can be, especially if you don't get what you want there. I really, really wanted to be a Marine, and all I got was the Navy. So.
Yeah. I mean, it really isn't like a real thing to acknowledge, because it's a difficult thing.
It is.
Especially when you don't get the crayons.
Yeah.
I mean, so you missed out. I mean,
you can still eat the crayons. It's okay, man.
Can I?
Yeah, Shane's got
Shane's
got tons of them in his storage shed, man.
But you got to go through the initiation of the crayon eating ceremonies, and then without that, there's
you guys have full ceremonies. I think
at the tree. By the way, for those people who think this is a cult, at the tree on Shane's Mountain, crayon eating ceremony.
There's a buried pirate treasure chest of crayons.
Okay, we're degenerating. We're degenerating into degeneracy. You guys want to talk about what's going on with Bitcoin right now?
Yeah, let's talk about that. And let's also, for the audience, this is an Ask Me Anything. So if you guys have been out there for 35 shows and you're loving what you got, I mean, look at this audience; it's amazing. And you want to ask some questions about what's going on in Bitcoin Veterans or any of the things that we're doing in Bitcoin Veterans, now's the time to ask. Throw it in the comments on Twitter or on YouTube, and we'll get to those. But yeah,
and I will add, I want to know whether it's in the chat for YouTube or in like my DMs or the Bitcoin Veteran DMs on Twitter. Like, I want to know if Bitcoin or Bitcoin Veterans or both has helped pull you out of the nihilism that I was talking about. Because I love hearing those stories.
Hey, can I share something with y'all?
No.
As we get geared up for. All right, never mind. Forget it. I'm sorry.
Come on, Gabe.
Oh, all right. All right, man. It's on. I mean, when the Chief Energy Officer starts throwing nose at you, man. But so something cool happened as we get geared up for questions to roll in. I asked a question of our community. It was actually on my way out to Madeira. I was at a layover, and I was putting together a presentation that I was going to give through Operation Bitcoin, about Operation Bitcoin, and I wanted to share some of the impact that Bitcoin has had in the lives of veterans. And so I sent out to our chat group just a call to action. I threw out, I said, hey, there's an assignment for anybody who can knock this out in 24 hours. Tell me, send me a private message and tell me what Bitcoin has done in your life and what it can do in the lives of veterans. And I didn't know if anybody was going to respond. And I got nearly 20 responses, like within 12 hours. I mean, I just had responses just pouring in, and I want to thank everybody who just jumped in and did that. And I'm telling you, the comments that were shared with me were so just real and powerful, and the impact that we're having as a group, all of us, everyone listening, everyone who's a part of our group. We're making it happen, and this is real. What you're doing in each other's lives and what we're doing in this world, it's real, and you are making an impact on people. And it's not just the individuals that are here; it's our families, it's our communities. Okay, there are people within our group alone that are finding purpose on a level that they have not experienced, even in the military. And they're not just keeping it to themselves. Okay. It's in the way that they interact with their families. It's in the way they show up in their communities. It's in the way they show up in the larger Bitcoin community. It's in the sense of mission and purpose that they're finding. And it's awesome. And it's humbling to read the comments that people shared and that people shared with me. And I want to let you know, I made sure that I didn't share anybody's personal information, and I included some of those things in my presentation. And that was the absolute most powerful moment, was just putting those comments on the screen and letting people read that, letting people read the impact, not only that Bitcoin has had in the lives of veterans, but the impact that those veterans are now having in the world because of it.
Gabe,
it was awesome. Yeah.
Do you have those handy?
Yeah, I can bring them up. I can share the ones that I shared in the.
Do you want to pull those up? Maybe you can read one or two
Sure.
or something like that.
Yeah.
You don't. I mean, we'll give you a minute to do that.
60 seconds starting now.
I can relate. Like I can relate. If you were to rewind the clock, maybe, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, before I really started digging into Bitcoin, I was looking at the world and I'm thinking, yeah, we're pretty screwed, man.
Yeah.
Like I've got.
I remember the Twitter Spaces when I first started interacting with you. I don't know where that was on that journey, but what was it, 2021 when you started getting on Twitter Spaces?
Yep.
Like, that was a lot of fun having those kind of like, guys, I just realized something about Bitcoin and it is changing the entire way that I'm looking at the world. And everyone's just piling in. We're like, yeah, just cheering it on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is absolutely transformative. Once you realize that, there's actual hope for mankind. Humans can be pretty crappy to each other.
Yeah.
Humans can be pretty nasty and do some nasty things to each other.
Mm-hmm.
But I will tell you, a lot of that, the motivation, unfortunately, believe it or not, is driven by broken fiat money.
Yeah.
A lot of the stuff in the West is driven by broken fiat money. The endless wars are driven by broken fiat money. If you had a meritocratic system where they couldn't just print endless amounts of money and there wasn't a financial incentive to pump that money into the military industrial complex, to continue a series of wars that never end, that all they do is destroy the lives of human beings and enrich the people who benefit from the military industrial complex. If you were to just delete that, I'd say a lot of pain and human suffering would go away pretty much immediately. But the incentives are so screwed up.
Yeah.
And the entire world runs on the United States dollar. We've captured the entire world. Back in 1944 in Bretton Woods, the United States got everybody to agree to use the United States dollar as the world's reserve currency and the world's trade currency. So it gave the United States a huge leg up on the entire world in terms of the money. Everybody uses the US dollar. And in turn, what did that do? It gave a tremendous amount of power to the people who were printing the money in the United States of America. So what do we have today? We have decades and decades of nonstop warfare. We have decades of young men who've gone to war, some of them paying the ultimate price, some of them losing body parts, mental and spiritual damage. For what? So, yeah, I mean, back the clock up a couple of years, I was looking at this thing. I was like, man, we're a bunch of monkeys and we're screwed.
We're next. America,
Not wrong.
you're next. I mean, Alex, you get into something there that kind of touches my heartstrings. And, 35 shows ago, I'd say, I was maybe even a little more nihilistic than way more nihilistic than I am now. But even, probably back 3 or 4 years ago, probably about the same time, I was really getting into Bitcoin, completely nihilistic. And I will tell you, it was through Bitcoin that this Brave mission started happening. And to start, having guys out because of visions of what Bitcoin is and what it means to people in culture, to rip that war that's torn apart our souls, not just here in the East, but also in the West. Like the guys that are returning home from that and living with him for the rest of their lives. The fact that we now have people who are working on this piece of it, the soul piece, the spiritual side of this in Bitcoin, I think is probably one of the most interesting, if not the most powerful pieces that I've seen in all of Bitcoin, is this idea that there is something bigger, that there is divine design out there, that you can be absolutely, perplexed and in this duality of man, hopeful and understanding and a faith, right? Like you sit there and you look at the immensity and the beauty and in the sheer horror that is humanity, and the duality of man there, that you understand that, and now you say this is bigger than me, and you see the designer behind it, and now you can sit back and take a really giant leap backwards and say, boy, this is so much bigger than me. The only thing that I really have here is to recognize the designer in this and have faith that this is the path we're supposed to go down. And to see that in terms of manifesting itself with Bitcoin is, some people would think you were absolutely crazy, but once you get networked into these people and you start to see their hearts and you start to see them function in these ways, doing amazing things and creating, not destroying, creating in a renaissance for the first time. And I think that's one of the biggest things about a renaissance is now you have creation again. You're not destroying old things. You're not ripping down old things. You are literally building new frameworks. You're building new societies. You're building new communication. You're building new money. And with that being at the very foundation of it, it is, like Gabe said, this is layer zero. The people, that underlying current where we are starting to heal the souls, where people can look, take a step back and see something bigger and start to have faith in something again. Not the money, but each other, and this bigger spirituality that, hey, man, we are a human species and we should be doing things together and we should be building and we should be recognizing the potential and the passion and the geniuses, growing those geniuses. And Bitcoin gives us that leg to do that.
Yeah. And it's also important for both the newly initiated and not, like when we're to the other side of the conversation, like outside of our community, we sound like a bunch of wackadoos and we're talking about all this stuff, right? But the interesting thing is, Bitcoin is like a mirror on the fiat system. Like it shows what's actually going on, right? But then for the veterans, pun intended, of the space, whether you are a Bitcoin veteran or you're a veteran of Bitcoin or both, I recommend getting really pinned down on one failure of the US dollar system, or one failure that is allowed by the US dollar system, whether you're penchant on his politics like Shane, or you're talking about the military industrial complex like Alex was just talking about, or my personal favorite, looking into what the fiat system has enabled and incentivized in the destruction of public health, like through the soil system, which Texas Slim helped me out with. Pick one, really get expert at it and dig it down so you can kind of provide that shock and awe value to whoever you're trying to talk about with this stuff, or convince them that you're not a crazy wackadoo. and then start pulling that thread a little bit more. It's like once you can show them or you can express to them how broken the system is from one angle, you just pull it from the dollar side, and you'll get to like this crazy nexus of rabbit holes to where you're going to go deep on everything else. And it's enlightening in the sense of it shows you just how scary deep the rot has gone. But again, like you guys like to like continuously bring up, I might be Dr. Doom, but I'm Dr. Doom in the sense of I'm bringing to light the corruption so we can flip it the other way, right? And that's what Bitcoin allows, and that's where all this hope comes from. And I just want more people to be able to spread that light a little bit. It starts with a dark flavor, but man, you start like I've had a couple buddies of mine where like once they realized that how broken the dollar system was, when I explained how the Federal Reserve worked, I'm like, guys, this is why Bitcoin. Like all you have to do is save in it. You don't have to put your entire life savings in it if that's not your flavor. Do something just responsible. Save in it. It could be something for you, like for your kids. It could be something for your grandkids. That's not something we have access to right now, especially if you're a millennial or younger. The future is bright. And we are 100% living through a second renaissance.
Mm-hmm.
The writing that Gabe specifically talked about, I'm reposting some stuff I wrote for Simply Bitcoin. So if you guys want to get read up on this stuff, just go to my Twitter. And I have linked my Substack where I posted the one earlier this week, and then I'll post the other parts once a week for the next 2 weeks.
Speaking of Simply Bitcoin, they're live right now. They're doing Simply Sessions, him and Ben for BTC Sessions. I was talking to Nico earlier today. They're going to set up Simply Bitcoin, the whole live broadcasting thing in Nashville at the Bitcoin Veteran Citadel. So we're going to be partnering up with them. Nico has also agreed to come on our show, and also excited to announce that next week we've got Dennis Porter, who has been on the road passing legislature in many different states that is Bitcoin friendly. So we're going to be talking to him, doing a catch up with him on what he's got going on and what they've been working on. And then the week after that, super excited. We've got Matt Odell coming on the show. I'm very fired up for that. Matt Odell, I'm a big fan of Matt, have been for many years now. I cut my teeth learning about Bitcoin, listening to him and Marty rant on about all kinds of stuff. So looking forward to that.
Big shout out to TFTC.
I hope I hope we talk about Nostr. That's what I want to say when Odell comes on, and I think we might. Yeah, that was another big topic of conversation out there. Yeah, I got a couple quotes I want to share with everybody from some of our group members of Bitcoin veterans. There was, I mean, some of it starts out with the, like you were saying, Mike, some of the stuff that's kind of, the darker side. I mean, one of them said, getting out of the military and transitioning into civilian life, I struggled to relate with my peers. I was used to being responsible for people and things of magnitudes more important than the issues facing my civilian peers. I could not relate and could not recreate the camaraderie that I had in the military. Bitcoin Veterans fixes this. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah, it's good stuff, man. Bitcoin has given me a mission to work on that is more important and more fulfilling than either of my combat deployments.
Dang.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty serious, because for those that have experienced combat deployments, it's not an insignificant event for someone to go through. And this individual shared that this is more fulfilling and important than either one of those. Some pretty serious stuff. Let's see. For me, defunding the war machine by adopting Bitcoin and orange pilling everyone I can is something tangible I can do. And this is after they refer to the handing the keys of Afghanistan over to the Taliban and the feeling of defeat that was experienced from that. There was a lot of there are a lot of veterans that still struggle with that, because many of us lost friends and gave up of our own time and lives and sacrificed greatly for that, and it was thrown away. Bitcoin gives us an opportunity to do something impactful that isn't going to be wasted. Bitcoin gave me a purpose besides just grinding away at my life force.
Oof.
Yeah.
Dang, I
Yeah.
feel that one.
Yeah, it gives me a chance to partake in not only a historical shift, but the actual chance at making something great for my great grandkids. It will hopefully limit the creation of more wounded veterans through sound money limiting warfare. This is the mindset that that people are approaching this with, is limiting additional warfare, thereby decreasing the number of wounded veterans in the future, making the world better for their great grandchildren. This is the mission that we're on. This is
Well,
amazing stuff.
to that point, Gabe, it forces the calculus on combat to be more meaningful, right? Because
Yeah.
there are times where combat and violence is required or mandated or necessitated. But like Alex was talking about earlier, like with the incentive mechanism, like we're just stirring shit up just because it makes somebody else money. Like,
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
and you're spending and wasting valuable American and human lives. Like, that's not forgivable.
I love the fact that it brings back into our lexicon legacy. The idea that you are going to leave something behind for a future generation, not just your posterity in terms of kids and grandkids, but you're talking about generation after generation after generation for not just your family. You know, what's going to be done with some of these people who have stacked, you know, quite a few Bitcoin out there for not just their family. You know, there's a lot of people that will be wrapped up in this idea that, you know, Bitcoin's selfish and everybody that got in early is going to be, you know, ultra powerful and aristocratic and all these things. But you know what I've seen from these people? I've seen them the giving, not, you know, not anybody that can take, but people who can implement directly exactly where it wants to go. To your point, Mike, is, you know, there's no waste. That is, no, look, I see the signal and I can project, you know, my power into their hands and let them fulfill that passion and genius that's inside of them. To start thinking about that as legacy and how many different families are going to benefit from the people who got in early, and now to start creating bonds between different family units and different people for the betterment of society versus the derangement, the perversion, the destruction. What a 180-degree shift that we're going to start bringing back this positive reinforcement of legacy and reputation. Amazing.
Let's talk about this stuff in practical terms, because if I'm a brand new person and I'm listening to this conversation, it sounds very woo-woo.
Yeah. Yes, it
Like
does.
y'all must have partaken in some really good whatever it was you did before this show.
Water.
However, I will say that the thing that about Bitcoin that actually has a chance of changing a lot of this stuff is that Bitcoin is the first asset that the human race has ever seen, is the first form of property that the human race has ever seen, or an individual who has Bitcoin in self-custody and they're following proper security and OPSEC. They literally, for the first time in the history of mankind, are resistant to state-level attack. And it goes back to the founding of the United States of America. Did you know that employment tax or income tax was not always a thing? That occurred in 1913. They passed the Federal Reserve Act and they passed the income tax at the same time. When America was founded, there was no such thing as income tax. There was only excise taxes. If the government wanted to do a specific thing, they had to literally ask the people for money. Would you guys please help contribute to this thing that we want to do? And it was a very meritocratic system because they had to proof of work. They had to do the thing that they were trying to raise the money for. You understand? Whereas now they can just print in endless amounts of money. And it's created this system where corruption is at an all-time high in the United States of America, in all of America's institutions, because it encourages that. But here's the amazing part about Bitcoin. Did you know that Bitcoin cannot be taken from you without your permission? You literally have to comply and agree. Like some people say, oh, well, the government can come to you and hold a gun to your head and demand your Bitcoin. Well, so, okay, that is true. However, you still have to agree to give it to them.
Yep.
You could look those jackwagons straight in the eye and say, you know what? Nah, go ahead and shoot me. My kids know how to get the Bitcoin, and they get nothing. All right. So some people are hearing me say that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I would never do that. Like they point a gun at me. I'm giving them my Bitcoin. Okay, fine. I get that. I'm just saying, for the first time in the history of mankind, you at least have the option.
Yep.
Right. And because of that, it flips the whole taxation system upside down. We're going back to a meritocratic system. So guess what? They can't just do endless whatever the hell they want and get away with it. That is the power of this.
It also another aspect to that too is what the reason why the individual's value or wealth stored on Bitcoin is safe from any sort of state actor is everybody on the planet that is generating energy for a profit that is contributing or partaking in the Bitcoin mining that is going on right now, which is exploding in popularity into the nation state level. They're all protecting each individual's assets on the network. Like that is something to really think about, because there is, like Alex said, there is nothing like it out there. And then on top of that, that incentive mechanism flips the entire way that society organizes and structures power distribution and generation, flips that on its head too, because normally we would wait for this slow, steady grind up as far as growth and population expansion of like city infrastructure and demand in order to justify producing more power. But now with Bitcoin mining, we can fill that negative space gap that goes up into infinity. Yeah. And what happens when you increase the supply of electrons as far as just basic economics go? You increase supply, demand doesn't keep up, cost starts to come down. And it gets really fun after that. Like, how can you not be hopeful out of like everything we just talked about in the last 5 minutes?
Hell yeah.
Like, you get really excited for the future in just about every respect.
Yeah. And one of the coolest things about it is that everything about Bitcoin, it inspires and it incentivizes collaboration between people instead of division, instead of contention between one another. It inspires collaboration. I want to drop one more thing. I know I keep saying it's the last thing I'm going to talk about, but for those that are not familiar with an artist named Tip NZ, look her up and explore some of her content. She revealed a new piece live on stage at Bitcoin Atlantis called Dawn, and it was amazing. I saw her for the first time at Pacific Bitcoin last year, and it was awesome. It was just awesome. Everybody was just going crazy. I was one of them. I know I said I don't just walk around crying about things. You're all probably going to think I do now, but that was the only other time. But I mean, she had my eyes sweating in that performance, and it was powerful. I mean, you guys, you saw it. I mean, that was some serious. It was good. It was good, but I had an opportunity. It was. And this one was, it was just as powerful, if not even more powerful. And I had an opportunity to meet her before her performance and talk to her for a minute and just let her know how much I appreciated her gift and how she's sharing it with the rest of us. And just another, normal just person that truly cares about what she's doing and knows that this is what she brings into the world, and that Bitcoin has enabled her to bring this best part of herself onto the world stage and to share it with everybody else and to add that contribution. And it's cool stuff. But she's just a real down to earth, great person. But when she hits that stage, man, she brings the presence of a juggernaut, and
Yeah.
it's astounding. So check her
Yeah.
out if you haven't heard of her yet.
You know what's incredible about that is that Tip NZ is this tiny little person. She's so
Yeah.
tiny, you know, but man, is she freaking powerful.
She
I
is.
can remember having her on Cafe Bitcoin and like her telling her story. For those of you who don't know, she's not like a rapper. She used to be a manager of a freaking sovereign wealth fund of a nation. She understands the fiat system intimately, extremely intelligent, like one of these like super big brained people, but also a gigantic heart. And that's why she was looking at that old system and going, this thing is so broken. And it comes through in her music. You listen to her lyrics, man, it's powerful stuff.
Oh yeah. It is good stuff, man. Check it out. You're going to like it. In case I haven't made this clear yet, go check out the dang Bitcoin Atlantis videos if you're interested in seeing these things. It was a powerhouse event. I recommend it. Take a look. I can keep telling you about it, but you probably don't want to hear it. So there's just too many stories to share. But hey, it was cool. Madeira's nice. If you ever get a chance to go visit, check it out. All the people are very friendly. I don't speak any Portuguese, so everyone tolerated me pretty well, which was very very gracious of them. But I learned how to order coffee. I learned how to order a plate with octopus tentacles on it, which I did eat and was delicious. And
It's called
And I-
calamari, Gabe.
no. This was not calamari. This was like octopus tentacles. This was like the whole tentacle, like on
Which
a
is-
plate.
Which is calamari.
I don't want to hear your nonsense, man. Okay, this was
You got to help these knuckle draggers out. They don't understand sometimes. It's okay.
Shane, come off mute so we can hear you laughing.
yeah. I know he's saying something great.
I'm sharing the same sentiment on mute. I said something about and I think they serve that here in Georgia. But
I'm telling you, it's different, man. This one's got like the whole head of the octopus is there, and it's still alive, and you can have a conversation with it while you're eating its tentacles. It's pretty amazing. All right, that part wasn't true, but I tell you another thing, man. The guys from Meet Premier Bitcoin, they're a bunch of fun dudes to hang out with. I was hanging out with some of their educators from a few of them from El Salvador, and we had a blast. Just some good guys doing some good things, not just guys, some good folks just doing some good things. And we shared a lot of meals together and had a lot of fun conversations, and just again, just building relationships with other Bitcoiners on the mission. It was good stuff.
Awesome.
ladies and gents, if you're out there and you're listening to this for the first time, and there's a lot of you that are, this is Bitcoin Veterans. We do this every Thursday night, 7 p.m. Go out there and hit the smash like button and follow these guys, man. We are putting together an army of veterans and civilians, for that matter, that are literally building the future. Everything from learning and education to spiritual work to communications to citadels. This group is a decentralized group that is just taking the bull by the horns, literally. It is spreading good vibes. It is spreading a lot of education and really doing some amazing philanthropic work around the world now. And I mean, look at what's going on. So if you're out there, you want in, give us contact and we'll get you spun up, get you in, and whatever you want to do, we're going to say, go do it, just as long as you agree to be peaceful and non-violent. That's the whole gig. So we're going to win this war by persuading people with good ideas and thoughts. Again, if you want in and you want maybe some of these stories of, you know, like Gabe's got, or like, you know, Alex or Mike or the rest of us here, show up at these events, show up and meet people. I don't care if it's at BitBlock Boom or Pacific Bitcoin or Nashville. Get involved maybe in your local area. And I will tell you, here in the Atlanta area, we had our second meetup for the North Atlanta a couple weeks ago, and fantastic, amazing. So it doesn't have to be one of these major groups. It can be a Friday night at one of your local breweries. Get together, shake hands with people, figure out what you're doing locally. And this might be the most important part. It is great to have a global network, but it is very, very powerful to have a local network where you are building and creating and helping people understand how to save the communities that you love where you live. So Again, if you want to be part of this, show up, meet
at
network.
Bitcoin Veterans on Twitter. We've also got a YouTube channel. You can check that out. Subscribe and like if you dig it. Okay, we've been rolling for about an hour and 20 minutes now. I think it's getting towards the hind end of the show. I think we should do some story time. I know one of you guys has probably got a funny story to tell, and if you don't, I do. So
I want to hear.
Yeah,
yeah.
If you've got one in the barrel, let's hear it.
You got to now.
okay, I don't know how funny this is, but
We'll let you know.
it's basically just basically a military story. So I'm just going to tell a military story.
We can make it
Right.
funny at the very least.
All right, cool. So you can make fun of whatever. So this was during Desert Storm. I was on the USS Missouri, which is a battleship. So BB-63, they got the 16-inch guns. I was a 16-inch gunner. So these things are basically a turret, right? And they've got 3 guns. They're gigantic barrels. The barrels are like 50 feet long. They weigh over 100 tons apiece. You're firing 16-inch projectiles that weigh 2,800 pounds up to 21 miles inland, and we're doing naval gunfire support. So we've got Marines on the ground calling in our fire. We've got different teams, different groups of guys on the ground asking us to do fire support. And so at one point I was down in what's called the powder flats, which is where we have these magazines where we're bringing in all this gunpowder, these gigantic bags. They're about that big around. They're 110 pounds each, all gunpowder. And you put 6 of these behind each projectile that you fire. So you put the projectile in the breech and you load up 6 bags of 110 pounds each. So 660 pounds of gunpowder to propel these projectiles downrange. Right. So, what you're supposed to do is you're only supposed to bring in through these armored scuttles enough gunpowder for the next round to go off, because you want to minimize the chance of explosions. You don't want to have too much gunpowder sitting around in the powder flats, all that other kind of stuff. Well, we, being the geniuses that we were like, we could shoot way faster if we just bring a bunch of more gunpowder out faster, right? So here we are. Like, we're loading the powder flats up from the scuttles, and we're bringing them from the armored sections where the gunpowder is stored. We've got like bags piled up all over the place, ready to load them into these powder hoists, bring them up to the guns, load them into the guns, boom, fire. We're trying to fire 1 round every 30 seconds, right? And so, have you guys ever, those of you guys have been in the military, ever experienced a situation where you have a senior person in the chain of command who's basically an idiot?
No, what's that like?
Okay,
Must be a Navy thing.
So there was this one period of time where we're in a fire mission, we're shooting the guns, boom, 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 boom. I've got the comms on, I can hear what's going on through all the people running the various different stations in the turret, right? And I can hear my first class, which is an E6, and our senior chief, which is an E8. The first class says, hey, I've got an alarm here going off on my panel. We're losing hydraulic pressure in the right gun elevator. Now, the elevators are the things that bring these cars full of 660 pounds of gunpowder 6 decks up, which is like 6 stories, to the gun rooms where they're loading them. And he's like, hey, we got a problem. We're losing hydraulic pressure on this hoist. And the senior chief's like, oh, don't worry about it. Keep shooting. We've got hydraulic brakes that'll stop and catch that thing. No problem. And the first class is like, no, I don't think that's the way it works, man. And the senior chief is like, just keep firing, so we're and I can hear him. Like, the first class is like, hey, we're losing pressure on this thing. And at one point we lost the pressure. They did not shackle the thing to the top like the first class was recommending.
Oh boy.
And I heard that thing fall 6 decks down the elevator shaft to the powder flats, where it hit, boom. And then all of these bags just they just blew open. And if you can imagine, these huge pellets of gunpowder just flew everywhere all over the freaking powder flats. And in that instant, when we lost pressure and that thing was coming down, it was dead silent. Like, the guns stopped firing. Everybody in the turret just went dead fucking silent. because
That's
everybody
fear.
was thinking, I'm going to die.
Yeah, this is it.
This is it. Like, this is the moment. So anyway, long story short, we didn't die. I'm still here. We got lucky. But I tell you what, man, that senior chief, we never saw him again for the rest of the deployment.
For
He
good
disappeared.
reason.
Yeah, thank
He
God for that.
disappeared into fucking chief land. I don't know what happened. I'm guessing he got
Promoted.
Yeah.
he got promoted to his fucking rack is what he got promoted to. We don't ever want to see your face again in the turret.
Man.
So,
Yeah, for those of you that are not hydraulically inclined, coming from the former hydraulic specialist for aircraft, when you start to lose hydraulic pressure, that's the sign of a soon to become bigger problem.
yeah.
To
what's-
Alex's story's point.
You know what's really ridiculous is that's not what they say in the Navy Aeronautic Corps or whatever they call it. Because I will tell you right now, as long as the birds are leaking, you're fine. That's exactly what they tell you. No,
Good sign.
don't worry about it. It's when they stop leaking that you're in some serious
Real
trouble.
Yeah.
got a real problem.
It's kind of like the white trash response to a leaky hose line. It's like, oh, just keep filling it with fluid.
That's right.
Just compensate for it. It'll be fine.
Add another quarter oral to that car. That'd be fine.
Oh man, I was in a Black Hawk aviation unit once, and I'm telling you, I mean, they call it 100-mile-an-hour tape, and they really do put that to the test. It's real.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that stuff it holds some of those helicopters together, and no joke. And it's like you said, as long as it's leaking, you know it's not out of fluid, so that's a good thing. But when it stops dripping, you got a problem. But yeah.
By the way,
exactly.
if you're on an aircraft like that again, Gabe, I recommend getting off of it as fast as possible.
No kidding, man. And and that's one of the things that cracks me up when you see these advertisements for products that say, this is military grade. I'm like, dude, that's not a good thing, man. Stay away.
The lowest bidder.
Exactly. Good
Which is the
Lord.
best because you see it on like the Ford Raptor commercials, like military grade chassis, and like I'm watching that, and I'm like, not a good thing, man.
You just made that a real easy decision for me. I will not be
probably
buying
not.
that.
Yep.
Good Lord.
Well, gents, are we gonna tie a bow on this one tonight? Then I think it's
Let's do it.
a really good happy ending for all those out there in Vetland. You guys know what happy endings are. They come with the show. The Navy's giving them out. Anyway.
Man.
Love shipmates. Bitcoin veterans, ladies and gents, thank you guys, all 623 of you out there, 624 now. Thanks for tuning in. You guys have been a fantastic audience. You guys are doing things that are literally moving and shifting the world into a new renaissance, a legacy that I think your great grandkids are going to be super proud of and thankful for, and hopefully relish in the delight of a much different world than we're seeing today. Alex, Gabe, Mike, it's always good to see you guys. Jordan, we wish you well out there. Randy and the rest of the crew, thank you guys for all you're doing, the heavy lifting, the conducting behind the scenes, and everybody who's out there doing this kind of stuff. It is not unnoticed. I think everybody's moving as fast as they can, as smartly as they can, using the resources that we have in an expeditious, really just an amazing way. And you're starting to see fruits of this. We're not a year into Bitcoin veterans. When we show up on the scene at BitBlock Boom, and then Nashville, and then PB, and the rest of the organizations that we're going to be touching from here out, you're making an impact. So thank you to everybody. You should be proud and keep up the damn great work. We will see you here next week, 7 p.m. on Thursday. Until then, we are out.